But back to our issue at hand here. We have the Chazon Ish enlightening us with a critical message, saying if so long as we lack bitachon, we're going to be removed from the foundation of Judaism. Why? Because the foundation of Judaism requires us to believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching and monitoring every single move you make. And so long as you do not have that clarity, you're going to cheat, you're going to lie, you're going to do all types of things that are going to remove you from Hashem. And yet, this is not the worst message. This, Rabotai, is not the worst message. This is just the first course. He continues, but a false sense of bitachon is far worse than that, because it's wholly bad. This, Rabotai, everything we just spoke about, for 20 minutes, we thought it's bad enough. Oh, I'm lacking, I got to work on myself. No. He says, yeah, you got to work on yourself. Sure, I have to work on myself. Everybody has to work on themselves. He goes, but no. Before you start working on yourself, there's even a more critical danger. If we were just talking about coronavirus, okay, now it's cancer and AIDS combined. This is what he's talking. He says there's something worse than not having enough bitachon. It's having fake bitachon. Fake bitachon, Rabotai, he says, it's wholly bad. The person who trusts falsely is no better than the one who doesn't trust at all. Because you would think, listen, the guy has fake bitachon. At least he has something. No, it's fake, but he has something. He says to everybody, have emunah, but in reality he doesn't have anything. At least he says, no, isn't that something? Chazon Ish says, no, it's the opposite. It's worse, it's not better. Why? Because he who does not have bitachon avoids much of the outrage and the destructiveness associated with the false bitachon. The guy that does not have bitachon, he's not doing so great. He's removed from a lot of the foundational principles of Judaism. But he's going to avoid the destructiveness that's associated with the faker. What destructiveness? What destructiveness is this? For he who lacks the trait of bitachon in Hashem totally, simply lacks it. If he doesn't have bitachon, he simply doesn't have bitachon. That's it. That's where it ends. It ends with him. It ends with him. But the false bitachon, the one who's a false truster, not only he lacks it, he's not only the same as the first guy, lacks the bitachon, but he's also to be condemned for his falsehood. He's actually going to get punished for lacking it and for being a faker. The first guy is going to get himself into trouble because of his lackings. He's going to lie, he's going to say to this, to her, he's going to say that, to that's a problem. But the faker is going to be condemned for it. Why? Because this guy is going to create much greater damage that spreads much more. I'll give you a small example before we go into the details. The Rav Mibrisk, alav shalom, during the time where, unfortunately not different so much from today, the Arabs were shooting missiles at us in Israel, the Rav Mibrisk understood clearly who runs the world. So when they had all this sirens and everything going on, and everybody was running out of the apartment, going into the miklat, going into the basement over there to protect themselves and so on, the Rav Mibrisk refused to move. He continued to learn Torah in his living room. But one day, the missiles got crazy. There was a lot of missiles. And his son came to him. He says, Abba, you have to come. Please, you have to come. There's missiles over us. You have to come. Please, 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 please. He pushed them, pressured them, got them out of there. They went to the miklat. Boom! Right where he was sitting, a missile dropped. They come back up. They see there's a missile there. And the son says to the Rav, he says to his Abba, see Abba, look at that. Wow, what a siyata d'ishmaya, what a miracle. exactly where you sat is where the missile dropped. What a miracle, saved your life. The Brisker Rebbe was not confused for a second. He says, you're my son, but you're a mazik. You're a damager. You're my son, I love you, but you're a mazik. You cause damage. The son thought he just saved his father's life. Now he says, I'm causing damage? What did I do? The Brisker Rebbe explains to us this whole shiur in one sentence. He says, listen, the fact that I'm alive right now means that the decree from the Bet Din of Shamayim decreed that I was going to live. Meaning that whether I went to the miklat or I was sitting in my living room, I would still be alive because the decree from heaven decided I'm going to live. Which means that I could have simply stayed in my living room, learned more Torah, and I'd still be alive. The fact that you pulled me out of here because of the lack of bitachon that you have, what happened? You ruined my chair in my living room. You ruined my chair in my living room. Of course, Rabotai, average person doesn't look at the world that way. He thinks, wow, what a miracle. Hashem did a miracle for me. But that goes to show us, who knows more Torah? You are the Brisker Rebbe. When somebody has clarity of who's running the world, there's no question here of what was the right move. There's no question. You could say, wait, but if he didn't move, the missile would have landed. Who says it would have landed? Who decided that the missile was going to land over there? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the same HaKadosh Baruch Hu that also decided he's going to live. And if he decided that he's going to live, then surely that means that the missile would have had to land somewhere else. The point being, Rabotai, is that someone that does not have the Bitachon in Hashem is obviously lacking a very, very big trait, is going to have serious trouble, and I'm sure that the Brisker Rebbe's son learned quite a bit from this story, hence the reason why he told the story. But the point being is that this in itself is not as damaging as a faker. As bad as it is, because he'd still in essence influence somebody else, it's still not as bad. It's still not as bad as someone that's a faker. Now, the Yakut Shimoni in Parashat Vayera, in Remez 181, talks about Paro. Paro had a huge palace, 400 different entrances. 400 different entrances, and each entrance had lions in these entrances. Now everybody was scared to go and enter the palace because if you didn't have meat that the lion wanted, in essence you became lunch, or dinner, or breakfast, or even a dessert. But something changed. When Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen came in, all of the lions from all of the gates joined them. As the Zohar says that Moshe said a specific name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and caused them to become confused, and all of the lions started licking his feet and following him like little puppies. He came to Paro. Paro, the Midrash Reuveni, says that every time he saw Moshe Rabbeinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu also showed him Gehinnom. So this Paro sees, in essence, the truth. He sees Moshe Rabbeinu in control of nature. He sees Gehinnom. You would think this guy would lose all of his own self-confidence and start saying the truth, doing good things. Initially he did. Initially he lost self-confidence. How do we know? Because Paro was one of the biggest fakers in history. One of the longest lasting fakers in history. He lasted for many, many years, but aside from that, what did he tell people? He told people, listen, I created myself. How do I know I'm different from you? I don't go to the bathroom. You guys go to the bathroom. You see my entire palace has 400 entrances but does not have a bathroom. So how did Paro do it? The Midrash says that Paro would go to the made a certain hour at night, that no one in Egypt was allowed out, and he would go to the river and do his thing over there. Hence the reason why every time HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent Moshe Rabbeinu, he told him to meet him at the river. Meet him in the morning. Meet him at that time. So he constantly catching him going to the bathroom to show him that, hey, we know your stupid secret. You're not a god. You're not a nothing. But in the beginning, Before all of this was exposed, Paro had all the confidence in the world. He was the king. As soon as Moshe Rabbeinu walks in with 400 lions, Paro, his body gave in. His body relieved itself. After that, Paro didn't know what to do with himself. He decided to go into the bathroom, decided to go run somewhere and go into some type of bathroom, but that was supposed to be for the servants, not for the king. The Midrash says, in a Midrash Rabbah, says, or Midrash, Yakut Shimoni, and also in Midrash Me'am Loez, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent 12 rats, little poodle-sized rats, to go bite Paro all over the place. So everybody heard his screams everywhere, and everybody knew, oh, he's in the bathroom. Now you would think, after he got bit by 12 rats, after he made a complete mess out of himself in front of people, after he sees Genom in real life, after he sees all of the lions, walking next to Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron as if they're little puppies, after he saw all of that, he would simply admit he's a faker and just go with it. Opposite. Paro doubled down. He says, who is this God that I should listen to him? Who is this God that I should listen to him? I created myself. He doubles down. He tells us that he doesn't believe in God. He tells us that he thinks he's God. Why? Because Paro was a faker. And a faker can't just give in so quickly. He's got a whole reputation to preserve. He knows that by admitting the truth, it's self-destruction of the fake self, the image that he's created.